This episode of the ZuLoo Podcast is sponsored by ZuLoo Inc., a benefit corporation dedicated to the goal of universal access to toilets, hygiene, clean water and sanitation through the power of social enterprise. Learn more at ZuLoo.com.
Those wastewater treatment plant operators, they're like, we talk a lot about first responders, which are important, police and firefighters, but the last responders are the unsung heroes, right? Because if they decided not to go to work or they decided to shut that plant down, we would be in big trouble.
Yeah, I love that term, last responder. I haven't heard that. It's really cool.
Darren made that up. It's pretty awesome.
Welcome to the ZuLoo Podcast, where we talk all things poop, toilets, and sanitation. Through insightful news, impact stories, and quirky humor, we aim to discuss and highlight the critical role toilets play in whisking poop out of our lives, the impact toilets have, or lack thereof, in the health and wellness of humanity, and what ZuLoo is doing to help solve the current global sanitation crisis.
Hey, ZuLoo crew. Thank you so much for joining us today. We have an amazing interview today with Kelsey McWilliams from Point of Shift. One of my favorite interviews we've done so far. We got into living in New Zealand in an RV, circular sanitation, designing designer amazing toilet seats, which hopefully we'll be getting on our marketplace soon. We get into a lot of stuff with Kelsey. It's a really fun interview. But
Point of Shift.
Yeah.
With a T, so
be
don't
sure
edit
to add
that
the
out.
F. Yeah.
Don't bleep us, Trevor. We're
not
saying
the
a
other-
nice word.
right.
Shift.
POS.
Shift.
Point of Shift.
So,
Yeah. If you say it fast, it'll be like, what?
I mean, it's apt. It applies
Yeah.
if you say it wrong. So,
Where are they located again? Or are
They're
they?
in Burlington, Vermont.
Okay, cool.
And which is a cool town. I was there a few years ago. Did some sailing on Lake Champlain. Beautiful time.
Did you have some maple syrup and Ben and Jerry's? And
I did. It was summertime, so I wasn't, watching my diet a little bit.
okay.
But,
Okay.
but anyway, yeah, cool town. But yeah, toilets can be beautiful is sort of their slogan, and I think I need that on a bumper sticker.
Right, that is a good one.
On your RV
Yes.
going down the freeway.
In New
Toilets
Zealand.
can
In New
be beautiful.
That's right. I think sounds like you guys are going to plan some sort of
Kelsey, let's go. I'm
road
down to
trip.
go back to New Zealand and hear all about your toilets. Go from the North Island to the South. Let's do it. I'm in.
Sounds fun.
Okay, before we plan that amazing trip, let's hear some Poo-News.
Yeah, Poo-News. Have you ever thought about different places people get married? Some people get married in temples, churches,
Vegas.
The beach.
How about an airplane?
Oh,
An airplane wedding. This is
Is there room in those aisles?
Southwest Airlines. There was a wedding, and she the dress was made out of toilet paper.
wow.
This is not. I'm not making this up. This is Brides magazine, and
okay.
wore a toilet paper wedding dress on her ceremony on an airplane.
I can't decide if that's like
I know.
extremely
Right.
like environmentally conscious or really wasteful.
I mean, there's a lot of
Right.
things going on
Yeah.
here, right?
Yeah.
And
I
like,
mean, maybe if you use the dress after you're done, you could.
You just hand it out to everyone at the reception and
they
everyone's
just tear
good to
pieces
go.
off so they can use it.
And underneath she's got something else.
I mean, it's unique enough to get married on a plane, but why the toilet paper
What's the
dress?
connection to the toilet paper?
Is there-
I think it's just a kind of a creative way. The groom wore a sash
Mhm.
made out of pretzels that were tied together with string.
Okay,
Wait,
this is
did
totally
these two
random.
work for Southwest or what's the
No, they were passengers.
Okay.
It turns out it wasn't an official wedding because there wasn't a minister on the plane or somebody in authority, right?
Were they
It was-
going on their honeymoon somewhere? Or
But
they
it was,
were going to get...
We have so many questions.
It was kind of a fun thing. Yeah, we'll put a link to it on Twitter. You can watch it live. But is that something you guys would ever do? Is that something that interests you? You guys have both been married before.
Mhm.
Was that something that would be
I would have to
tempting,
say
or-
no.
I mean, if it were like a really, like if it was a Cessna and we're like flying over Scotland and we had some connection to the plane and there was a dude there in a kilt, sure, I could be talked into that. The toilet paper dress, not so much. It'd be so cold and non-supportive.
Yeah. Plus, if there's a breeze or if it got wet.
Yeah. Yes. What if it rained? It would dissolve.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
instantly.
then you would really be in a problem.
Or maybe that's like the cool trick. So you have that. It rains like you didn't know that was going to happen. And then you have this amazing dress on underneath.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
That seems like a lot of work.
Yeah. Anyway, it's another thing to do with toilet paper.
I mean, if you got hungry with the pretzels, I mean, if I don't know what the banner was. With,
I think the airplane pretzel thing, that makes sense.
That's
toilet
pretty
paper,
funny.
Okay.
I thought you were going to say it was an airplane seatbelt that he had as a sash.
Oh, that would be clever.
Yeah, that would be
Right?
interesting.
Call me next time, guys. Call me before you do this stuff.
Yeah. So that's in the news. So, if you spend time on Twitter, you probably know this already, right? Also, this this is not in London. This is out of Wales, which is close, right?
Mm-hmm.
The school is getting into a lot of trouble by parents who are upset that they decided to take the doors off of the toilet stalls in all the bathrooms.
Why was this?
Because they were, I guess, kids going there,
Smoking, doing drugs.
things that they shouldn't be doing.
Mhm.
And so they kind of took an extreme measure. And I actually had this happen to me. I think I've shared this before. They did this in my high school for a while.
Oh, really?
And
In both the boys' bathrooms and the girls' bathrooms?
yeah. Well, and they've gone through even beyond that. They have a hall monitor at the door that assigned you to a stall,
Wow.
and,
Oh.
it was very kind of a highly police situation, right?
Mm-hmm.
But there was no way I could I know that when they did that to my high school, I couldn't.
That would cause
You
some
couldn't
phobia.
go.
Yeah, I couldn't. There wasn't any teacher around. It was like, no, somebody's going to kill me if I do what I'm doing. And there's no door.
Yeah.
They're just going to take advantage of me, right?
I mean, that would induce bowel shyness for sure.
I know. I do have a degree of bowel shyness, but yeah. So that would I guess it didn't last very long. Parents said
The
that
parents
it was
were in uproar.
invasion of their privacy and probably not a good idea.
Yeah, it seems like there are some other measures, and maybe they did try a lot of things, and this was their last resort, but it doesn't seem like that would be super effective.
Right.
Not sustainable.
Yeah,
sure,
not sustainable.
Because
So
lead to
anyway,
other
that's
problems.
that's what's happening in the news.
Okay. So watch out, kids. Don't mess around in the bathroom because those doors are a luxury.
Yeah, you may just get your doors taken off, and then
That's
then what are you
right.
gonna
And
do,
then what's going to happen?
Then you got to hold it all day, and you're not going to be very happy.
You'll be talking to your therapist about that years later.
I know, I do.
Yeah.
It all goes back to that somehow. But anyway, but yes, speaking of toilets and toilet design, I mean, Kelsey is super cool. Point of shift. Doing some really cool things with their designs and their systems and some cool toilet seats. I still haven't seen one. I'm like, I can just imagine, just like, does it have flowers or does it have like cool geometric shapes?
They were made out of wood, right?
Yeah, she said they're making them out of wood. She said some of them are going to have scalloped edges. I think one was like a palm frond or something. So it seems like I can't believe no one's done this before. And maybe they have. I'm not aware of it. But it seems like such a fun way to like spruce up the bathroom for not a whole lot of cost.
They should do one that has like little bumps. So it's like a massage.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
A little rotating. There could be all kinds of things.
One of the that have
exactly,
the little
like
things
Trevor's
in
doing a little shake over there. So anyway,
I guess we'll see.
It's a
when
whole
they
new
come
world,
out.
right? I mean, we're excited to see what she's going to put out. So.
Yeah. Well, let's jump into the interview. Hey, everyone. We are sitting down today with Kelsey McWilliams, CEO and founder of Point of Shift. Did I say that right? Been looking over the website. Super excited to talk to Kelsey today to find out a little bit about her and what she's doing with Point of Shift. So, Kelsey, to start us off, first of all, tell us where you are in the world and then kind of go into your backstory and how you ended up founding Point of Shift.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm currently in Burlington, Vermont. And we are just edging on spring. So it was like sunny the past weekend. So I was super excited about that. And then also just funny thing on my name. So I named my company Point of Shift, thinking of like, kind of shifting the changes, getting so into kind of naming it. And then a lot of people have pointed out to me, after I named it, which I think it's hilarious that it sounds very close to. Also, we didn't check in about cursing here. Are we allowed to say SHIT?
Yeah.
If you don't say it
often.
If you don't say it in anger, you say it as a matter of fact. It's totally
yeah, it is. It is what it is. So people are like, Kelsey, shift sounds like shit. And I was like, oh my God, point of shit. That's amazing. And then also POS is like the acronym for another thing that we say a lot. So I was like, wow, I just stumbled into this very appropriate name of toilets. Rightfully so.
That's very meta. Like you have to think about it for a minute, but it's actually very apt. Well done. Unconsciously, you hit it on the head.
Yeah. I think it was the universe. It was just like, this is a toilet business. Like, how close can you get? But yeah, my background is in environmental engineering. In college, I was part of a poop lab, as we call. We were working on kind of how to make a better pit latrine, one where sludge would dry faster and you can transport it and you could treat the waste without having to desludge it. And then I jumped over to business consulting, as some engineers do. And I was working with both nonprofits, government stakeholders, and also some fun sanitation entrepreneurs. And then got tired of the corporate life, moved to New Zealand, lived in a van, and started working for the Toilet Board Coalition. And I was there for about 3 years working on projects really focused on how do we make circular sanitation more scalable and more present throughout the world. I was leading a few projects on the agricultural front. So how do you get circular sanitation to combine with tea plantations? Like really interesting kind of niche applications. COVID hit. I was living in India at the time, and I saw this hole in this market, especially in the US, growing, that more and more people wanted to be more sustainable in general, but also more sustainable in their housing choices. And one of those things led to the bathroom. Like people who aren't on sewer, they have septic. Septic works okay for some situations. It's not a cheap option. It's not a great option. There's more solutions. So I found a point of shift to kind of be that middle person and be technology agnostic to look at these different scenarios and find the best circular, sustainable solution for those clients. We also have a deep, deep ethos that toilets should be beautiful, because the more fun and beauty and design we put into the toilet, the more we actually care about our waste. So they go hand in hand. The more time you're thinking about the toilet, the more time you're thinking about your waste. That's our hypothesis. So might be true for you, might not be true for you. But it's kind of led us to where we are today.
So
Okay,
we have to time out and back up a little bit.
I have so
we're
many
still
questions.
recording, but you mentioned living in a van in New Zealand, and I thought of Jocelyn.
Yeah.
You guys, I think you are sisters.
I'm like, this girl and I need to hang out. I have so many questions. Just give us a brief, 30 seconds on what that was like. What did you learn there? What were some of the highlights and maybe some of the crazy things?
Yeah, I mean, wow. Yeah, Kiwis are just fabulous people. I think just like their look on life in terms of like adventure and work-life balance and like really protecting the environment, I think was just a really beautiful thing to see. And also, I was asked about 3 months ago to speak on New Zealand radio very randomly. And I considered it such an honor. And I got to say that I think New Zealand has one of the best public toilet systems in the world. And they loved it. And they're so rad. Like these public toilets, some of them you have to like wash your hands in the sink for the toilet to flush. And there's lights and there's technology and they're clean. So but also just the nature was rad. I was bartending. So just meeting a lot of cool people, thinking about toilets and dreaming stuff up. So yeah, super, super fun time. But I would love to hear about your van New Zealand trip as well.
You're giving Jocelyn a lot of ideas for this coming summer, right? Or I guess it's going to be winter in New Zealand. So maybe you have to time that.
The living in the van fantasy is one I've had for a while. I have 2 little girls, so I got to wait for a minute. But okay, I may follow up with some more questions about that whole experience later. Because I spent a little bit of time in New Zealand. I didn't live there. I didn't have that opportunity, but it is a magical place. It's like nowhere else I've ever been. It is everything Lord of the Rings promises, and it does not disappoint.
Such a good way to phrase it.
But
we speaking of Lord of the Rings, we were there. It was right before COVID. We were there in January of 2020, which sounds kind of crazy, but you're hearing these things about, oh, China, people in China can't travel now. And it was sort of like, we didn't know what was coming, but we were in Australia and New Zealand for a few weeks. And
You
beautiful,
got out
beautiful
just
country.
in time.
Yeah, saw some hobbits running around. So,
Well, Kelsey, going back to some of the things that you touched on, can you explain for our listeners and for me the details of what circular sanitation means and what is the goal there?
Yeah, great question. So circular sanitation just means any system that is collecting and treating our waste and then converting it into a usable product. And those products can range from compost, they can range to energy, they can range to animal proteins, like black soldier fly larvae, some proteins, and then gas for heating or cooking and water.
So using the waste for all of those different, it's almost like a fuel source for all of these different avenues. Is that right?
Yeah, I call it sometimes like a renewable resource. So like there is value in our waste, and our waste can be converted into a usable resource. And it's usually like when you convert it into those resources, you don't get all of them. You get usually some nutrient dense effluent, and that can be in the form of compost, which feels more like soil. That can be like a liquid effluent or fertilizer. And then you get sometimes energy on the side or water on the side.
Amazing. So, okay, I love what you said. And the first thing that I noticed on your website is the first thing that pops up says toilet should be beautiful. And I love that idea. It's like, it should be an experience when you go, not just all about the function. So talk to us a little bit about how Point of Shift is kind of helping people to see that this is more than just a taking care of business situation.
Yeah, absolutely. I think like when we talk about it, we always think about like everyone here has an experience with a toilet that has been the worst experience. And it's typically a public toilet somewhere in the US or globally that you just caused so much stress for you to use it. It could have been the odors, it could have been the cleanliness. It just was a super pleasant experience. So by focusing on the beauty of the bathroom, not only are we creating a space that's of refuge, of a space that you want to be, it's actually better for your digestive and nervous system. I once designed a compost toilet for an eco village, and it was at a friend's place, and we had this big festival after, and people were eating such nutritious food. And someone said to me, Kelsey, oh my God, I just had the best shit of my life. Like, thank you so much. Someone who works in toilets, like that is like top tier comment you could ever say to me. One might also say it's a love language of mine. That's like how high up it is for someone who designs toilets. And I said back to him, I was like, thank you so much. Like that's the goal of these systems and these toilets, is to feel like it is one of the best poops of your life. But in addition to my toilet, you're also eating such nutritious food. You're also eating in community, and you know your nutrients are going back to the land. And so at Point of Shift, it's part of this whole cycle that all of these pieces go together so that we're creating more conscious humans and more conscious, sustainable decisions in our everyday life. Yeah.
Well, I think that's cool with respect to the user interface, as we call it, right? If that's not a pleasurable experience or something that you look forward to, you're not going to use it, right? You're going to go find something else. And so that is, and also I like what you were talking about when it comes to the vocabulary that we use around, like we've had people on the podcast where they talk, hey, we shouldn't be calling it waste, because waste is the idea, well, you're going to discard it, you're going to dispose of it. And it falls outside of the, this circular idea, right, of circular sanitation, where you're able to, it's a resource that could be certainly utilized, like you're saying, right?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah. I don't have any hard feelings on the term waste, because like at the end of the day, to some people's waste is another person's resource, but yeah, it's ideal in that ethos. We're actually, and I'm really excited about this, we're working on a new project, which I giggle sometimes at the projects I get involved in, but it's I'm trying to create more funky, fun toilet seats because I just think it's a really great way for people with existing systems to remember their toilet, add more design, more intent, and kind of get more into the ethos of valuing these systems that are literally upholding society in a lot of different ways. But so look out for some.
Yeah, do you have one you could show us? Do you have one handy?
I don't have one that I can show you right now. Right now, we are in market research and prototyping, but looking to launch in the next 6 months with some of our first. And they'll be wood-based. Right now, we're playing with, I want to expand even the shape, like just what we think is even possible in the toilet. So we're playing with different shapes, like the palm leaf style one that has more scalloped edges. So just something that will kind of be like, whoa, what is that on my toilet? Kind of in a fun way, not in a scary way. Yeah.
So with they'd be aftermarket seats that you can buy to fit a standard toilet. So anybody can use it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Whether you're steward or on septic. Yeah.
So we've often talked about on here how much, particularly how much time men spend in the bathroom. And for some of us, it's been a point of contention in some relationships. But, and I'll be honest, like a lot of times going to the bathroom for me is an inconvenience. Like I just don't have the time to stop. It's not a refuge. I don't look forward to it. It's like, it interrupts my day. It interrupts my flow. But this idea of making it something that you look forward to, like, for smokers, it's just a smoke break. For like people who love dessert, is going out to get a donut. But everybody has to do this. Why not make it like a tiny reprieve from your day? And the idea that it could be like a beautiful space. And I love that you said something. What did you say? Like the more you think about your toilet, the more you'll think about your waste or resource, or, however we want to phrase it. That seems really, really clever. It's a way to like sneak in the back door of people's minds to be conscious of this without hitting them over the head.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's.
So I think, these toilet seats. So are you designing them for like direct sale to consumer, or are you designing them before another manufacturer, or what? How does Point of Shift interact with either the public or the private sector? Maybe explain how that works.
Absolutely. For the toilet seats, we're making them ourselves, which is me. I have a background in carpentry as well. I converted my own van as well. That's another van aside. So I'm able to make the toilet seats. We're sticking with a wooden material for these first batch, just because that allows us to really kind of skip any molding, whether that be ceramic or plastic. But in general, we work mostly B2C on the circular sanitation design front. So these toilet seats are both for our existing clients and also helping to reach a larger market to kind of spread the good word of circular sanitation and the value of our waste.
So you've got, go ahead.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
No, you go.
I was just going to say, so you've got the toilet seat project. What other projects are you working on, or have you worked on, that we should share with people?
Yeah. Right now, I just finished a project designing a cold system composting system. So up in Canada, where we really only have about 5 months of temperatures that would allow for outdoor composting. So we can combine systems. We did a Bokashi system, but for human waste, which is really fun. So combining both aerobic and anaerobic to kind of create a simple solution for this off-grid cabin, which is really fun. We're doing some regulation work as well in the US. So to help more circular sanitation systems to be accepted by regulators, that's a huge thing. These are still technically alternative systems. And some states do have permitting that allows for innovative alternative systems. But right now, after budget cuts, a lot of these departments, which are the Department of Public Health and Department of Environment, don't have enough staff to test some of these systems. So we're working on some of those problems with some clients in Maryland. And then, I'm a consultant, and I also work for other toilet organizations, helping them to scale. One of them is here in Burlington, which is why I'm in Burlington. They're called Wasted, which is another great toilet name. It's just, you're like, yes, we love that. Or to your point, waste shouldn't be wasted is one of their big slogans. And they actually just launched today. So go them. And they are working on making the porta potty more sustainable. And so converting the waste collected in their porta potties and converting it directly to fertilizer for land application and closing that loop as well.
We actually had on a podcast probably a month or two ago. We shared a news article about them.
Oh, cool!
Because I get a lot of Poo-News, right, on purpose, and I think it was a news article. I can't remember. It was some business journal that was talking about them raising capital and launching. But yeah, that's great. If you could, maybe we could have them on the show.
Yeah, have to. And I think
hook us up. We want to talk to all the toilet related people that we can.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think too, what's great about the Wasted crew is they're really good, which I think is lacking in sanitation a lot, is they're really good at telling the story, which I think is just a huge advantage to having them in this market and trying to create more circular sanitation solutions.
So point of shift, I mean, I guess you would consider yourself like industrial designers, right? Is that correct? Would that be correct?
Yeah.
In the sanitation space, you're designing seats, you're designing systems, obviously not just functional, but beautiful systems, right? I mean, that's the whole point, the point of shift you're talking about.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No, I don't usually use the term industrial designer because that's not my background, but yeah, systems designer is usually what I plug the hole with. But in general, yeah, we want to be creating more holistic, beautiful, direct from like on-site systems specifically. So directly where your toilet is going into land application or into energy or into water reuse.
Kind of like Steve Jobs' iPhone, sort of beautiful but functional, right?
Yeah, we are the iPhone for the sanitation. I love that. Sure.
You're gonna start wearing a black turtleneck, and
I'm close. Look, I'm getting closer. Just cover more neck, get rid of some stripes. Yeah,
there you go.
Yeah.
So I'm in the middle of a huge remodel, lots of redoing of the bathrooms and toilets, and I'd never thought about toilets so much in my life. If I had met you like a year ago, and I wanted to implement a circular sanitation system in my house, is that possible? If so, like for people who are considering this and they want to reach out to you, how does that process work? Is it possible for people who live in like urban areas to do this?
Yeah, that's a great question. Mostly if you're on a sewer system, like that sewer system is actually super environmentally friendly and going to be one of the best options. I mean, sewers have been getting a bad name in recent prep because they're at the end of the line, right? They're treating everything that we give to them. But using water to transport waste to a centralized solution is actually super environmentally friendly and a great solution. Sewers is what have built society. So if you're on sewer, we typically say stay on sewer. But if you're really looking to start your own composting toilet in addition to that sewer, because it's just really important to you, the great thing about already having a septic system or on sewer, it makes it really easy in the regulations. So most regulations want you to have what they call like a backup. So you can do a composting toilet or you can do an alternate solution as long as you have septic or sewer. That's the easy way, right? If we don't have septic or we're on land that's never been built on, that's when we go a little bit deeper and also where we get to play with kind of more colors and more systems. So the answer is yes. And it just depends kind of on like your budget, how much you want to be involved with the process. We all don't have to be like making our own compost from human manure. That's not the world we live in. That's not the world we're going to live in. And we shouldn't require people to want to get their hands dirty to be environmental or have circular sustainable solutions. But that's where we start. We start with an assessment phase of kind of your situation, your goals. And in that assessment phase, we also do a lot of education. So it's a lot of kind of like, what's the art of the possible, right? Like, tell me your dream toilet. Like, I want to help you get your dream toilet. And that can look from an aesthetic perspective, or that can look from a sustainable solution perspective. And then we go from there.
And ideally both, right? Both beautiful and functional at the same time, right?
Ideally both, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's interesting that you said sewers have been getting a bad rap lately, because we have heard a lot of some of the negative effects, or, how sewers are kind of not the future. Like we're not going to be able to sustain that system for very long. But I'd never thought about what you just said. I mean, environmentally, we're not using electricity or fuel to push all this stuff where it needs to go. It's all, and I'm like, is that what you meant by that? Like it's water, so it's not as harmful to the environment.
Yeah, well, especially if it's already in place, it's also going to be cost effective. And there are some electricity, right? So pump stations and things like that, but mostly sewers are designed to utilize gravity and the flow of water. So it's just like in terms of like an infrastructure that's already there, like it's much better to take advantage of existing infrastructure instead of creating new infrastructure for the most part, unless of course you're in the US and you have lead pipes or the pipes are going to a cesspool, all things that happen in the US as well too. Then we might redo the infrastructure as far as going.
Gotcha. Okay, so something that has been kind of fun to ask people, and I want to ask you with Point of Shift, what have been some of like the most like moments you want to celebrate in this journey of starting a business, this consulting business and design? What have been some of your big successes?
Yeah, what a great question. My mind, honestly, when you were asking that too, was like, oh, she's going to ask about the challenges. So it's just really interesting. And I was like, okay, yes, these have been the challenges, da, 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 da. So it's really nice to be asked about like the successes. Yeah. And I think for me, it's just it's like we've completed roughly 10 projects now in the past 2 years. And I think for me, it's just seeing how much excitement people get. One, that Point of Shift exists and that someone can help them through this process. But then at the end of it, so much excitement to either start the implementation project or to see it completely finished and being used. It's been really, really rewarding to be a part of people's journeys from the beginning to the end. So I think that's been really exciting. I will say the first one was probably one of the most exciting because it was on land that was near to my home on an eco village that I really cared about. And also I got to work with a friend, with an architect to build it. So just a lot of personal relationship. And it felt kind of one of the things that I kept saying was like, the universe just wants to build this toilet and the pieces just kind of fell in. And then I was able to also have the time to construct the toilet. So it was just like a really fun, exciting, full journey project for me.
Yeah, that's amazing. Darren, I'm sorry. I've got so many questions. I feel like
keep going. You guys are connecting at a sister level. So go ahead, keep going.
We're going to New Zealand in January, is what I'm hearing. So
I think you guys are going.
I'm down.
You guys are going.
Well, I mean, it is kind of amazing. Like you've got your hands in every piece of the process. You've got multiple vans going that you've converted to different things, and you're in it from design to construction. Yeah. Am I understanding that correctly? That's pretty rare that you get to see it all the way through. And then, obviously the most rewarding part is getting to see people use it and have it in their lives. I'm not going to ask about the challenges, but I do wonder, what would make your job easier? If there's someone listening that could make it easier for you to accomplish your goals, what would they need to do? What maybe, regulations would need to change? How could Point of Shift more easily meet their goals if there was something that could change?
Yeah, I think it's twofold. And I have already hinted at, which you picked up, is regulations. Like that's just a huge thing. And regulations are great in the United States, right? Regulations, their purposes are to protect people and the environment. And I think it's just getting up to speed and connecting the regulations to what systems we need to create a better world for climate change. And I think that is changing. What I hear from regulators is that there's a huge movement in the US right now that within the next 3 to 5 years, most states will have rewritten their wastewater laws, including sanitation systems. So like in terms of like, yes, regulators could help us, but also regular people, right? Like there are laws on there are laws on the books being written to either create wastewater working groups, to consider no more land application of biosolids because of PFAS. Like right now, what the U.S. sanitation infrastructure needs a lot is people to care a lot more. They need people to understand that, yes, you can have a septic tank, but also you could have another solution. And we have to be willing to take that chance on other solutions to create a better ecosystem and environment for the future. So that would be amazing if we had both regulating support and public support. But we're a long ways from that.
Well, hopefully this podcast is helping in that effort to get people to care. And, we had spoken a little bit before we started that you were wondering a little bit about ZuLoo and what we do and how we are, on this mission to get people to care. So Darren, I'll let you kind of take it from there and tell Kelsey and everybody else who needs a reminder what ZuLoo is all about.
Okay, I didn't know I was going to be interviewed here, but you can certainly go to ZuLoo.org. But yeah, I mean, certainly ZuLoo is looking to engage on multiple levels. Obviously, our ZuLoo's nonprofit affiliate, ZuLoo Humanitarian, is active in places like India. You mentioned India earlier. We've been very active there for the past 4 to 5 years, building toilets, drilling water wells, doing the actual work. So we don't. The podcast is fun. We get to talk about it, but we're actually doing it as well. We try to share those stories on the podcast, but we also try to highlight, and we appreciate you coming on the show, Kelsey, the innovators in the space, who's looking to the future, who's changing what the status quo is, because the status quo, we're not going to be hitting UN development goal number 6, I don't think, on time. I think it's like 2030. It's coming up soon, right? So certainly what ZuLoo is all about is not only building toilets ourselves, but also helping support other people who are in this toilet space do what they're doing, because it takes a village, it takes a family, it takes there's so many people that are involved in the toilet space, as you know, and they're all working on different angles. It's like the elephant, right? Everybody's working on different sides of the elephant, right? And the elephant being, what 40% of the planet doesn't have a toilet, right? And so, or doesn't have a safe, sustainable toilet, right? And even those of us that do, certainly, our systems need upgrading. And of course, I'm getting on my soapbox here, so I don't want to. Jocelyn open up the question, but we certainly want to support what Point of Shift is doing, and we're launching the marketplace, which is sort of a place where people that do have products or services in the toilet space can offer those to sale for people that are looking for those kind of things. I was thinking of the toilet seat. I'm thinking we definitely.
Me too. I want those on there.
we got to get those toilet seats on there, and sounds like I haven't seen one yet, but I could just imagine. Maybe you can send us some pictures of them. We can highlight them on the show. But yeah, we appreciate what you're doing. Our audience is a little bit diverse, unique. We obviously don't just talk about toilets. We talk about other issues as well. What would you want our audience to know about Point of Shift? Maybe what you've talked about some of the projects you've been doing, but what are some things that you see coming up in the near future that you want people to know about?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing, and it's slightly different than on-site sanitation or your own toilet, right? A little larger. I think just with this platform and your guys' reach and like connection and bringing people together, I think is so needed across sectors. Like this sector just loves to work in silos. Which has worked for a time, but also has put us in the situation we are today. But I think in terms of general public is to really understand PFAS and the forever chemicals. It's just, especially, I'm obviously my voice, I'm American, so I'm just going to really speak to the US sanitation infrastructure right now. But like we are up a creek without a paddle if we banned biosolids from land application. It's going to cause more greenhouse gases to be formed. Farmers do actually use and care about biosolids. So just if you haven't gone to your local wastewater treatment plant and asked for a tour, One, the people who operate these plants are some of the most wonderful people on the planet. They love their jobs. They are very proud of their systems, and they love the job that they are treating your waste and converting it into usable products. They're also great tour guides. I have not been on a wastewater treatment plant that is not a great time. That could also be I love toilets, so I'll give that a little bit.
We can back you up on that because we just did that very thing a few weeks ago. And it was really inspiring to see how passionate these people are about what they do because they see it as a true public service, which it is, that they are reclaiming water and helping the environment and keeping our communities safe. And to take a tour, you really understand there are so many factors that go into that process and the safety measures and regulations and how deeply these people care about it. So yes, amen. Everybody go do that. It's really, really interesting.
It's just cool. And it starts to, I think, to like open your eyes to like, one, how the system works. We can't just flush and forget. We have to understand how the current system works. So then we can understand where the gaps are and where circular sanitation infrastructure best fits within those gaps. Some of it is with on-site sanitation. I also think there's a need for some regional facilities to open to further treat biosolids or to treat additional compost. Like that's one of my dreams, right? That we have a regional toilet composting center where people can bring their compost like food waste so that we're not all having to do it ourselves and it's more of a community group thing. But yeah, that's what I would say.
Wonderful.
Yeah,
okay.
those wastewater treatment plant operators, they're like, we talk a lot about first responders, which are important, police and firefighters, but the last responders are the unsung heroes, right? Because if they decided not to go to work or they decided to shut that plant down, we would be in big trouble.
Yeah, I love that term, last responder. I haven't heard that. It's really cool.
Darren made that up. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's it's meant to be a compliment, right?
No, it is. It is. I think that should be on a t-shirt. Yeah. Okay, we are running out of time, and we want to thank Kelsey for sitting down with us and explaining what she does, what some of her hopes and dreams are for this space. Something we've been asking people lately, and we'd love to hear yours, is, earlier you mentioned everyone has a terrible toilet story. We would really like to hear your worst toilet misadventure.
Worst toilet misadventure. Okay, I have two stories. One is related to human waste, but not a toilet. When I was working in the poop lab, I was dealing with really acidic waste to see if pH changed how much ammonia was passing through the membrane that we were working on. And I was in the lab by myself, which you should never do. And I was opening the pH jar 1 and it sprayed everywhere. And luckily only one drop got on me, but it got on me right here on the lip. And to this day, I don't have a full memory of what happened next. Just kind of in slight panic mode of disinfecting and removing it. So I've gotten very close to human waste. I can't remember if it was treated or not, but it was pretty acidic. So it wasn't that too worrisome.
You tasted the waste. Nice.
Yeah, tasted the waste for sure.
We're glad you survived. Yeah.
Survived to be here. Yeah. And then I think the terrible toilet that's coming to mind is, I don't think terrible, but I think it's just really interesting, especially when you travel to other countries that have different toilet behaviors. And in India, especially, you have the bum gun, which is like a hose of water. So instead of like a bidet that sprays water, you control where the water is sprayed. And
Wait, did you say the bum gun?
Yeah, bum gun. Yeah.
Okay.
And it's amazing. It's a product I missed when I'm back in the US. And because it allows you to spray back or front, however you want. And when I first moved to India, any new behavior, it takes time. So there were times where I accidentally missed and the entire front and back of my shorts were wet. And I was like, great, this is awesome. Really cool. Just going to walk out with drenched shorts. And it's India. So they dried quickly because luckily we were not in the monsoon times. But it's just we forget sometimes how ingrained toilet behaviors are and how hard they are to change. So that's just kind of another little quip.
Okay,
I had an experience with those. I don't know. It was called a bum gun, but it was a hose. Basically, it's it's like a garden hose with a sprayer, and you got to be careful with that. Where you're pointing.
my new favorite phrase, a bum gun. That could be applied in a lot of different ways.
So many ways. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, Kelsey, thanks again for being with us. Listeners, if you are interested or, want to learn more, please check out pointofshift.com. Thank you again for spending time with us. It's really exciting to hear about what you guys are doing. And
we'll be in touch for sure. Yeah, we'll keep in touch.
We want those toilet seats on the ZuLoo Marketplace.
I would love to. And I'll connect you to the team at Wasted. But yeah, thank you guys so much for having me. And it was so nice to connect and talk toilets this past half hour.
All right. Wonderful. Have a wonderful week. Okay. Kelsey, she's great, right?
Yeah, she was great. I can see how you guys connect.
Yeah. We're
Great
going
energy.
to go on that trip.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, not only did she talk about the importance of toilets being beautiful, but I loved this idea that, because I mentioned to her, sometimes when I have to go to the bathroom when I'm in the middle of my day, it's annoying.
Mm-hmm.
It's an inconvenience. I don't want to stop. I'm in the flow. I'm in the zone. But, the way they're thinking about it is it should be a reprieve. It should be an enjoyable experience. And, aesthetically, aromatically, lots of different things can go into making that something you look forward to instead of something you dread. So I thought that was really clever and exciting.
Mm-hmm.
They should do one. Yeah. Shannon was on a toilet seat the other day, and it was like, it wasn't made out of wood, but it was made out of like some kind of plexiglass, and it had like coins and like dollar.
Really?
Like inside of it, so you could see
embedded
it?
in it. Like you could see into there. It was like these floating quarters and half, like a $50. It was sort of this.
Where was this?
Mosaic. I don't really know where it was, but
interesting.
Anyway. So it made it kind of, you want it to be kind of fascinating.
People are getting funky with these.
They are.
I know. So
there's always good to have literature to read,
Yeah.
Right?
Well, I don't know. That goes back into how much time are people spending in the bathroom.
This is true.
I'm a little anti more than 5 minutes
But those 5 minutes could be like, hey, this is cool. Look at these little massage seat that I'm sitting on.
I'm all about a tush massage while I'm taking care of business. That's amazing.
Yeah, maybe a little heated seat. Some music playing.
Guys, it's time to level up in the bathroom.
Right.
That's right.
We've been doing it wrong
we
for
need
way
to look
too
to
long.
the Japanese because they've already got that. They've got the heated.
I know.
They've got the fan. They've got the bidet.
They can teach us some things for sure. And we hope our listeners, our viewers, if you have a cool toilet seat, please send us a picture.
Yes, I would love to see pictures.
Definitely
That's
highlight it on the
idea.
podcast, and
if you come up
maybe
with
have you
creative
on the show if you have a bunch of them.
Yeah, or like, what do you do to make that experience more pleasurable? Like if you've taken some time to be intentional about your bathroom
experience.
Yeah, I would love to see some examples of that.
Those could get wild.
Yeah, great. The crazier, the better. We want to see it.
That's
I'm
right.
thinking like patriotic themes. You could have like.
Yeah. We do a contest.
There's always the throne. There's always the golden throne.
Yeah. Oh, come on, people. We can do better than that.
Yeah. Right.
That's old news. All right. Well, thank you again to Kelsey. That was a fantastic interview. Really excited about Point of Shift, what they're doing in consulting. Toilet design and circular sanitation, a lot of really cool things happening with that organization. We are hoping to someday soon have their toilet seats highlighted on their marketplace, where you can find a lot of really great products. Is there anything specific we want to talk about on the marketplace?
Yeah, I mean, the marketplace is continuing to grow. We've got feminine hygiene products. We have toilet paper products. We have bidets.
We also have some pet-friendly products
pet-friendly, poop bags, and everything we have is, we try to make it eco-friendly as well. But,
diapers that are bamboo diapers.
Amazing gifts. Like I just think it's the perfect place to shop for some really cool gifts.
Bamboo diapers and everything that's bought on the marketplace, a percentage of that goes toward the ZuLoo Humanitarian, our nonprofit building toilets in India.
In soon to be Africa.
And also in Africa. Yeah, we're building some toilets for the school in Zambia. And we've continued to build toilets in Hyderabad, India. So that's continuing to go on. So the marketplace is just a way to give back,
Yeah, these are purchases that you can feel good about and that your friends will love. So you can't
and your
go
bum
wrong.
will love it.
Yeah, and your bum will be so happy.
Your bum will thank you.
Your bum will be happy.
All right, you guys, thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you next time.
Thank you for for listening to the ZuLoo Podcast. Follow us on social media at our links in the show notes below. To learn more, visit our website, ZuLoo.org. If you liked the podcast, be sure to subscribe, like, and comment. For even more ZuLoo fun, send us an email with your toilet stories to podcast@zuloo.com for a chance to be featured on the podcast. This episode of the ZuLoo Podcast is sponsored by ZuLoo Inc., a benefit corporation dedicated to the goal of universal access to toilets, hygiene, clean water, and sanitation through the power of social enterprise. Learn more at ZuLoo.com.